the siren on Rikers Island started as a low hum, then rose until it filled the air like a storm. In a crowded dorm, metal bunks rattled. Someone yelled, "Code," and officers in gray uniforms pushed through the doorway, shields up. A loudspeaker ordered, "Everyone down, hands where we can see them." 2 men froze at the center of the room, chests heaving, eyes hot with fear and pride. Outside the window, a plane cut across the sky toward the airport next door, its sound drowning the voices for a heartbeat. The dorm light flickered once, then steadied. You could feel the whole jail hold its breath. A captain pointed, and the line moved. The men went to their knees. Ankles shuffled. The room of strangers, all waiting for court dates, all hoping for release, went quiet enough to hear shoes on concrete, and just as it seemed under control, a radio crackled with a second call from another building, code red, medical now. Every head turned toward the door. The captain's jaw tightened. If one crisis pulls staff away, another can grow fast. Rikers lives on timing, meals, movement, meds, court buses, count. Break the clock and the island starts to shake. How did we get to this breathless moment? Rikers Island sits in New York City's East River, a 400-acre world between boroughs, linked to Queens by a single bridge with a guard post at the far end. From the air it looks like a patchwork of long, low buildings and chain-link fences, with guard towers like sentries at the edge of the water. Most people never see it up close. They pass on the highway or watch planes rise from the runway nearby and only hear the name on the news. But the island is a city all its own, thousands of people inside on any given day, most waiting for trial, some serving short sentences, all held in a place built to keep order when the rest of life is on pause. The island didn't start as a jail. Long ago. It was a small piece of land used for farms and then filled with mountains of city trash until it grew much bigger. In the 1900s, the city began building jails there to move people off the crowded, crumbling buildings in Manhattan. More buildings were added, connected by roads and yards and fences. Over time the place gained a reputation, loud, rough, and always full. News reports and lawsuits told stories of crowding, breakdowns, and slow change. For many New Yorkers, Rikers became a symbol of the whole justice system's speed, power, and pain. Step inside and life follows a tight pattern. New arrivals go through intake, get searched, answer medical questions, receive housing assignments. Detainees wear city-issued clothes, eat on a schedule, take count on a schedule, and move only when called. A day is made of lines: line for mail, line for meds, line for court bus, line for phone. In some units there are 2-person cells, in others, long dorms with rows of bunks. The air carries the steady sounds of NYC, sirens in the distance, jets taking off, gulls on the water, and the close sounds of jail, keys, radios, plastic meal trays, the snap of a door latch, a shout that starts small and grows. People inside try to build simple routines. Some do push-ups between bunks. Some read, draw, or write letters. Some call home and measure hope by the minutes on a phone card. Officers run counts, escort folks to clinics, and try to keep the peace in rooms full of stress and delays. Most days pass quietly. But in a place where so many people wait, small problems can swell: missed court, a rumor, a late tray, and the mood can change in a blink. The layout is part maze, part machine. Buildings have nicknames and numbers. There are yards with tall lights, corridors with caged walkways, medical areas, visiting rooms, chapels, law libraries, kitchens big enough to feed a stadium. A network of cameras watches the paths. The bridge is the only road in and out for buses, trucks, and staff cars. When the bridge slows, the whole day slows. Buses back up, court calendars slip, tempers climb. On storm days, the wind off the water pushes through the gaps in the doors and everyone walks a little faster. Rikers is famous not just for its size but for what it stands for. Supporters say the island is a necessary hub to keep a big city running. People must be held somewhere safe while their cases move. Critics say the island, cut off by water, makes the justice system feel distant and cold. Plans have been drawn, changed, and argued: fix it, shrink it, replace it with smaller jails near the courts. While leaders debate, buses keep crossing the bridge every sunrise. The island keeps doing what it does, holding time for people who are waiting. Back in the dorm, the radio call for medical now sent more staff to the corridor. The captain signaled, and 2 officers cuffed the men on the floor smoothly, then lifted them to their feet. A cart rolled by, its wheels squeaking. In the next building over, a second team moved fast toward the medical unit. You could feel the whole complex turning like gears. Response teams here, clinic there, watch commander checking cameras, movement officers locking other doors to keep paths open. Moments like this show the island's 2 sides at once. On calm days, it's routine, meals, count, visits, phone calls, sleep. On hot days, literal or emotional, the island is a pressure cooker. The staff know the rhythms: noon heat, long court delays, letters that don't arrive. They also know that calm comes because it must. People in custody want to call home. Officers want to finish the tour. Everyone wants to get through the day. A senior officer in the dorm spoke softly now, not with the edge from before. He told the men, "We're returning to normal operations." A custodian pushed a yellow mop bucket to the center of the room. The captain checked the logbook and signed. The loudspeaker clicked off. For a minute, the room sounded like any other room with too many people and too little space. Then the hallway lights dimmed, just a notch. The plane outside roared lower than usual. The captain looked toward the door, listening. Another radio crackled, different voice, tighter than before: "Bridge checkpoint, halt inbound." "Repeat, halt inbound." "Incident on transport bus." Every eye lifted. The dorm went still again. The bridge is the island's lifeline. If a transport bus has trouble, everything jams: court schedules, housing moves, even clinic runs. The captain keyed his mic, "Confirm location." The reply came back through static, mid-span. "Officers in place. Situation developing." He turned to his team. "Hold this unit. No movement until further." The mop stopped in the middle of the floor. Someone whispered, "Court's gonna be late." Someone else said nothing at all and watched the door like it might speak. Down the corridor, another siren began, shorter and faster, the kind used when a path has to clear in a hurry. Outside, somewhere between the island and the city, a bus full of people in cuffs had stopped on the narrow road over the water, and 2 worlds, the world that waits and the world that moves, had collided. What happened next would decide whether this became a footnote in a shift report or a headline across New York. And on Rikers Island, when the bridge stops, the island holds its breath. The bridge to Rikers Island had been locked down after the bus incident. Helicopters circled above the East River, their lights flickering against the water, casting long shadows on the island's gray buildings. Inside the complex, officers tightened their routines. Movement froze. Every door clanged shut harder than usual. On Rikers, lockdowns are not rare, but each one feels like the world pausing on the edge of something bigger. In one housing unit, men leaned against the bars, whispering to each other about what might be happening. Was it a fight? An escape? A court transport gone wrong? Rumors spread faster than the official announcements, and in a place like Rikers, rumors had the power to change moods. A single word, escape, could spark fear, excitement, or chaos. The officers kept their faces hard and unreadable, but the stress showed in how they checked their radios twice, how they stood with feet spread wide, ready. In the mess hall, trays of food cooled untouched, waiting for clearance to move. In the medical wing, nurses stood by with stretchers, listening to the chatter of radios from other units. Then came the news: the bus had stalled mid-bridge after a detainee faked a seizure. In the confusion, another man tried to slip his cuffs free. Officers reacted fast, pinning him before he could move toward the bus door. But the image of men trying to make a break for it, high above the water, sent shivers through the staff. It wasn't the first attempt, and everyone knew it wouldn't be the last. Rikers is often called a jail, but during moments like this, it feels more like a battlefield of time and control. Staff face pressure from every angle, detainees desperate to go home, lawyers demanding faster access, families waiting on visits, administrators tracking every number. One missed step and the whole chain rattles. Inside a dorm, a young man sat quietly in his bunk, staring at the ceiling. He whispered to the man beside him, "They say someone almost made it off." The other shook his head. "No one makes it off. Not from here." But the words hung heavy, the kind that made people sit up a little straighter, wonder about the odds, and measure their own patience. Meanwhile, in another building, an officer stood by the window looking out at the lights of the city across the water. Manhattan sparkled, so close it seemed you could walk there in minutes. But between that view and the people inside was a single bridge, lined with checkpoints, cameras, and watchful eyes. The officer muttered to himself, "That bridge is the only thread keeping this island tied to the city. Cut it, and we're alone." The lockdown was slowly lifted as the bus was secured and escorted back. But even after movement restarted, the mood across the island remained tense. People in custody wondered if the attempt meant more would follow. Officers wondered if today's near miss was a warning of something bigger, and then, just before midnight, a loudspeaker crackled with a short, sharp announcement: "All units prepare for emergency count." Repeat, emergency count. Every officer snapped into action. Every detainee froze. Emergency counts only happen when something is uncertain, when someone might be missing. The island held its breath again. Was everyone accounted for? Or had someone slipped away into the night? The order echoed through every block. Doors slammed. Radios crackled. The sound of boots echoed on concrete as officers swept the tiers. Each detainee was ordered to stand, raise their hands, and be counted. The count had to be perfect, numbers checked, rechecked, and logged. At Rikers, a single missing body could set off chaos that stretched from the island all the way to the mayor's office. In one unit, a man refused to leave his bunk. "I ain't moving," he muttered, pulling a blanket over his head. The officer barked at him, but the detainee stayed put. Tension rose fast, other men watched, waiting to see if the standoff would explode. Moments like this could tip into a riot in seconds. The officer called for backup. In another building, an officer counting down the row stopped cold. The number didn't add up. He counted again, slower, his voice steady but tight. Still wrong. He signaled his partner with a quick glance. Someone wasn't there. Radio calls began flying across the island. "Unit 4 short by 1. Repeat, short by 1. The air thickened. Was it a clerical error, or had someone really slipped through? The officer repeated the count. This time, the absence was undeniable. A bed was empty. The sheet still warm. On the other side of the tier, detainees exchanged looks. Some smiled, some whispered. Word spread fast: somebody's gone. Across Rikers Island, the emergency count locked every door. Officers rushed to seal the corridors, secure the bridge, and lock down the boat slips along the river's edge. Sirens howled into the night. The question cut through every corner of the jail, from the guard towers to the dorms: was this just another false alarm, or had someone finally done the impossible, vanished from inside America's most notorious jail complex?